What is happening, YouTube? I'm Brandon. You're back in the Gill Strap Garage, and we're still working on this Dyna. I was trying to do as much off camera that wasn't going to really be entertaining. Not that my videos are that entertaining anyway. I have pulled some of the wires out of the neck right here. I've got this wire feeding in right here, all the way down the frame, back to here. And I'm getting ready to pull wires through that are going to power my 12 volt socket for my phone charger. And we're getting at the point where it might be something worth showing on camera. We got to pull, I think the wire is pretty much all the way back. But right now I'm going to pull the battery tray out and give me a little bit more access down into there to see if I can feel that wire. Kind of in a tough spot, but once I get it, it'll be permanent. So it'll look a lot better than running it along the frame, or taking the easy way out, really kind of just avoiding that. And while I've got all this pulled out, I'm going to clean a lot of this up. I'm gonna get like some nice, actually I have some, I'm gonna put some nice split loom on here, get rid of this big bulky plastic insulation, kind of just make it match what I have on my cable controls here. Before I put it back together, I'd like to change these to a little bit taller bar, looking at some taller stuff from Speed King Cycle. So let's get into it. And then, well, another thing too, I'm gonna pull the battery side to gain access to all that. When I go to pull the wires through, I think I've got an open slot here. I'm gonna pull this whole fuse and BCM, ECM, whatever all's in here. I'm gonna pull all this out and try to run that circuit on its own fuse. Got some lighting set up, see if my body doesn't block it. In order to get this battery cover off, I've got to take off this little toolbox I've got here. Slide down. Yeah, man, I've been trying to take advantage of the weather today. If the bike wasn't in a bunch of pieces right now, I'd have gone out and rode. My buddy stopped by on his bike, made me a little bit jealous that I wasn't out there with him. But it's all right, my turn's coming. Getting rid of this because that terminal's broken anyway. Another reason why I'm getting away from that Lexington charger, because these contacts always break on here. I've fixed it 3 times already. Okay, battery tray out of the way. Should have been a rapper, not a mechanic. Malibu's most wanted. It's funny too, man. I was talking about the weather being real nice today. My Google listing is blowing up. People keep hitting me up, asking for parts and helmets and all kinds of stuff. A little bit of warm weather got everyone wanting to ride. See if I can't fish that wire through a little more. I hear it, it's like right there. So my flimsy little wire wasn't cutting it. I put one end in the end of the drill, and the other end in the vise, twisted it up real nice. Let's go to the other side and try to fish this thing through. There was a little access, this little rubber piece in the fender here to give you access right into the back of the neck. Or not the neck, but the frame. Feel it. Ta-da, there she is, boys. So my little mechanic's wire job there, got it fished all the way up. Coming out right there. So I'll be able to hook my new wires onto here and pull them straight on back through right where I want them. So next, what I'm gonna do is disconnect this whole battery box right here, pull that out and see if I can get access to any of these open spots. Here we get a Torx. I don't know what size that is, 40 maybe? 40 it is. Oh yeah, and then we got the Allen right there that holds that on. Took the time before I started working on the bike today to clean up the garage. So the garage will look decent for like one video. Then I'll be back to being thrashed. All these wires. Okay, I'm gonna go on the other side and see what I'm hanging up on. A lot of stuff plugged in here. There we go, Jesus. Okay. Numbers, part number on the top. I'm gonna remember that. Unplugging this horn, and actually, this horn isn't gonna make it back together. I'm gonna cut the horn bracket off, or cut this part of the bracket off for the horn and just completely get rid of that because I don't like it. I don't use the horn. This thing's ugly and bulky, and why not? I mean, I'm already doing all this other stuff. This one's metric. I want to say it's a 10 mil. Goodbye forever. All my projects get so out of hand. It's ridiculous. You know what? I want to take a time out. I'm going to look at the damn schematic and see if I can find this wire anywhere else. Because it looks like it might already run back through the harness or something. So, time out. Let's take a look. So the schematic didn't really help me out as far as what would go in that empty fuse slot. But I did mess with this a little bit and I got this pulled back. My empty slot is right here. There's two wires that run in there. So I'm gonna have to bring some of my electrical troubleshooting tools from work. I'm gonna reconnect my battery and figure out which side of this is hot. I'll leave the hot side plugged in and then I'll splice into the other side and I'll use that to run my wires out and all the way up there for what I need. So I did a whole lot of work tearing all this stuff apart here, and I decided to go a different route rather than cut that wire and splice into that circuit. This harness is not touched. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing has been cut or spliced or jumped or anything like that, and I hate doing that. So what I'm gonna do, it's gonna be easier to be seen, but no one's ever really gonna see it. I got some of these add a fuse circuits that I'm gonna plug into that open hole and route that up, just because if I ever wanted to take the stuff apart, then it's gonna be 100% OEM, untouched, unfazed, all that, whatever you want to call it. I didn't want to cut into the harness. So I'm going to put all this back and I'm going to get my wire ran up through the frame still. And then we're going to get ready to kind of have this thing buttoned back up. I've got everything chopped up and ready to go that I want powder coated. Got to make one more little adjustment to the bracket that I've been making. I cut apart my horn bracket. Got that off, and we're gonna be ready to rock. What's up? Jeez, I'm trying to get monetized here. You can't be saying those words. I'm just kidding. All right, let's get all this stuff put back on here. While all this is off, I'm gonna be cleaning this up. Horn circuit needs to go. Actually, it doesn't need to go, but I need to hide it. I was going to pull the wires completely out of the backbone on this and cover it in this because the wires are so hard to pull. And then I thought about it and thought, you know, I kind of want them hard to pull so they're not moving around in the frame. If they're vibrating in there, then that can cause a chance for rubbing and wearing, and I just want to avoid that. So we're not going to do that. I'm going to do what is visible though. Thinner stuff, I'll leave the old insulation on, and cut away to me doing probably a couple hours of this, and we'll be back when we're ready to pull some wires. All right, I got some heat shrink on this thing. I'm going to try to, let me get a layer of tape going. And it should be a fairly easy pull. There she is. That worked really well. I think I'm going to use this to pull cables through bars and everything else from this point forward. It's nice, thick, double braided wire. I found something pretty good. Let me show you guys real quick. This is my ignition, and it looks like we've got a little moisture getting in there. So we're going to get that cleaned up and get that button back up. I'm going to clean some more of these wires up. I wish I could get rid of this turn signal module, but I don't think I had brake lights when I took it out, so I'm going to find a way to wrap this in here a lot cleaner, neater, and I'm going to get my battery box bolted back up, and I've got something to show you that I'm going to do on my battery box too. I really like the San Diego Customs bar bag. I use this thing a lot on my old bike, but it does not work with the new bar and riser setup that I'm running on this, and it kind of covers up those sweet death metal racing risers. So I've got my battery box cover here. Got pretty scratched up when I was trying to get it all taken apart, getting some of the adhesive on here, but I was taking that off to get it powder coated black. Now what I think I'm going to do is figure out a way to secure this bag to the fuse box cover. I think it'll be slick. If it doesn't come out right, then it sucks because I'm gonna have holes in my battery cover, and to get a clean one is like, you can find them for 50 bucks, but it's kind of rare. But I think I can do it right. I just have to have the fuse panel bolted back up onto the bike so I can position where I want the bag and figure out how I'm gonna put my holes in it. I've got an idea of how I'm gonna do it and what I'm gonna do to make it, and what I'm gonna do to make that look right, but I gotta know for sure. I'm gonna cut the boring stuff, turn the camera back off, and get this bolted back up onto the bike, and then we're going to mount the battery up, make sure I have power at this fuse, and start running power for those accessory wires I just ran. And I didn't think about running power for the light bars that I want to run. Dang it. I found two. I forgot I had one of these light bars that I really liked, but I don't want to be like Mr. Light Bar, you know? I just think these look really clean right here. It's actually, no, I'm not gonna be able to run this one. This works real clean on the 49 millimeters. They're a little wider, you can tuck them in. So this one's not gonna make the cut on here. Good, then I don't have to worry about using all the parts I have. Just because you have it doesn't mean you gotta run it, right? So I'll get back with you guys on a progress update here in a second. Now that I have everything back together, let's see if my decision to put it back together was a good one or not. You guys see the meter there? Maybe, maybe not. Wait till that diesel truck passes. All right, let's key on. This should be a decent ground. I know this is a good ground. And looks like there's no power to that circuit. That sucks. Well, let me figure out which one of these I'll tap into. Let me flip through the book here and see. So if I would have just opened up the book from the beginning, then I could have saved myself the trouble and seen that 4 and 5 are both spare fuses. 5 has been used at some point. That's why that one was open. So we have the ECM, which I would not tie a circuit into. Fuel pump, I would probably not tie a circuit into. The battery, 15 amp fuse, maybe, but then maybe not. Accessory, 15 amp fuse, that's sounding like my best option, because if it caused some kind of problem in the accessory circuit, it wouldn't be detrimental. Instrument, I would maybe consider, but if it caused a problem, then I would like to still see my gauges and everything. Ignition, definitely not. Lights, definitely not. So I think my best bet is going to be number 7, which is going to be the bottom one here. That's going to be this guy here, and that will be where I tie in my add a fuse circuit. So let me turn the key back off. I will plug this guy in here. I'm going to run another 15 amp in it and replace that bad fuse, or that spare fuse. So there is my spare. I'm gonna mark the spares upside down. Not that by the time I ever have an issue, if I ever have one, I'll remember that I did that. This will go in here to complete my accessory circuit. Then I'll figure out how I'm gonna run this little guy. Probably through here and back and in there. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of leave that hanging out, and I'll get ready to tie her in. All right, so we're gonna solder this in here. Brand new thing of flux. Can't solder wires without flux. Although this stuff does work better when it's a little warmer. Got a nice clean little twist. Not a bad joint. I'm not a huge fan of this heat shrink. It doesn't do too well. I might want to try to insulate that a little more. This is not going to be the permanent solution for this. I'm just going to do this temporary to make sure it's working. Okay. Now I'm going to get a phone charger and we're going to see if she charges. All right, I got my key on. Oh, she's lit up blue. I didn't have an iPhone charger out here, so I'm just gonna plug in my flashlight real quick. Bam, ready to charge. That's awesome. All right, I'm stoked on that. So now what I'm gonna do even though I've already torn my bars off, I think I'm gonna mount the bars back on so I can get these wires exactly where I want them, then pull the bars back off and have my final connections made and get these wires tucked up the way that I want them. Check it out real quick too while I'm rambling about what I want to do. Key on. Key off. Key on. Key off. Key on. Key off. So works the way I want it. No more draining my battery, leaving my Lexington charger on. I'm just gonna mock these up loosely because they're gonna come right back off, and it'll give me enough of an idea of where I need to sit these things. Okay. So we're gonna have to get some loom on all this stuff too. It's all the boring stuff though. I'm already not talking to the camera, kind of dragging this video out a little bit, so I might just shut it off. I don't really know. Actually, I think I'm gonna close this video out, do a little bit more cleaning up on this, and then I'm gonna start another video opening up this package. Stay tuned for next week's video so you can see what we're doing, making good progress. Getting excited here, man. So stay tuned. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will see you in the next video.